Is it going to hurt our property value? The construction noise, the train noise for raising a child.
Residents in Robbinsdale raise concerns about light rail. The Blue Line extension will bring light rail through Robbinsdale, Crystal, and Brooklyn Park. Community meetings are being held so the public can weigh in about the project. CCX News reporter Jason Malillo reports.
Light rail is likely coming to the northwest suburbs. The question is when.
For right now, this is the route.
On Wednesday night, a steady stream of people attended an open meeting at Elam Lutheran Church in Robbinsdale.
Right now, we're informing the public, gathering feedback on this identified route and seeing what their reactions are to it and seeing how it could fit in their neighborhoods.
If built, the Blue Line extension will run right down the middle of County Road 81 through Robbinsdale and Crystal, and then along West Broadway in Brooklyn Park.
Light rail will bring people in and allow businesses to utilize the area.
Some people who live near the proposed path of the Blue Line extension worry about how light rail could affect their quality of life.
Concerns are construction, noise pollution, property value, which is huge.
Tyler Wilcox lives in Robbinsdale with his wife and young son.
Right off of Botno and 47th, so right where the train's going to go by.
He's not sure there's a need for light rail in the area.
There's a bus station down the road that nobody uses. It's chained up and vacant. So what makes you think people are going to use a light rail?
We're not in the business of property values or development. We're in the business of building transportation options.
The tentative timetable for the Blue Line extension has construction starting in 3 to 4 years and trains on the track by 2028. In Robbinsdale, Jason Malillo, CCX News.
There are 2 more community meetings about the Blue Line extension coming up, May 3rd at the Brooklyn Park Library and May 5th at the Crystal Community Center. Brooklyn Park police are investigating an armed carjacking. It happened just after 5 a.m. Thursday on the 2500 block of Brookdale Lane North. Police say 2 men came up to a victim who had just started a vehicle at that person's residence. One of the men pointed a gun at the victim, who wasn't hurt. As we went to air, no arrests have been made. In an earlier interview with CCX News, a Brooklyn Park police spokesperson said carjackings are, quote, an opportunity to use transport for free. And police believe at this time there's, quote, very little consequences for them. In Osseo, what city council members say is very exciting news. The city's first brewery and taproom is in the works. It will be called Thelema Brewing Company. The brewery will be located in a historic building on Central Avenue next to Dean's Supermarket. The 3 owners have experience in brewing, and one of the owners lives in Osseo. The permit, approved by the City Council this week, would allow a taproom, brewery, event space, and a restaurant. The owners say their space will not be just another craft brewery, but instead to educate and serve the community while providing unparalleled libations of the mind, body, spirit, and senses. The current art show at Gallery 5004 is being called a blast from the past. It will feature much of the Minneapolis art scene from the late 1960s, including a gallery owner from back then named Gerald Martin.
He definitely wanted it titled the Martin Gallery Workshop and the Martin Gallery Revisited. So it's kind of cool because there is a story behind that Martin Gallery Workshop.
At the 5004 Gallery, you can see some of the works that artist Gerald Martin printed using the stone lithography printing press that he created himself. To be able to sell his works and the works of others, he established a gallery that was open for 5 years in the late 60s in Minneapolis. Prints like what you'll see here are an example of how artists can make their work more accessible to more people.
One of the reasons a lot of artists wanted to do prints is because they can then price it at a much lower level, and somebody who wants to get a beautiful piece of artwork hanging on their wall that can't necessarily afford an original from a particular artist can afford one of their prints.
The show will be the first opening reception Gallery 5004 has had in about 2.5 years, and Gerald Martin himself and many of the artists from that era will be at the event on Saturday, April 30th, starting at 2 p.m. Today we have a special story about someone who has been part of CCX Media since the very beginning. Our executive director, Mike Johnson, is retiring after 40 years of service to Northwest Community Television.
Right in the very early 1980s, they were doing a franchising process to build a cable system here in the northwest suburbs.
Back when cable television was brand new, Mike Johnson was there on the ground floor.
It was like a deer in the headlights to begin with, because there was a lot that needed to be accomplished. Again, I was a cable company employee at the time, and so my goal was to get all these studios operational. There were like 5 studios.
There wasn't a guidebook on how to build what would someday become CCX Media.
We all learned a lot of things on the job.
Over the years, the impact and influence of the organization grew, whether it was serving its cities directly.
We've been averaging about 430 meetings per year that we do, gavel-to-gavel coverage of meetings. And so that's about well over 17,000 meetings.
Or providing an opportunity for residents to learn how to make TV. Producing dozens of programs on multiple public access channels.
It was amazing. They did hundreds of shows. Those were like the good old days.
The organization established a news and sports department, both with a lens on the northwest suburbs.
At the time, there was no sports coverage and things like that. And now, I mean, you look at our sports coverage today, it's just like, this is like equivalent to what you would see on like ESPN.
But ask Mike about the organization he helped establish, and he'll credit somebody else.
We have a great group of employees. I mean, if it weren't for the employees and the quality employees that we have, we wouldn't have the kind of content that we have.
Mike is always the cheerleader, always the one pointing to how far we've come, because he was a witness to how it all started.
First and foremost, it's going to be hard to leave here. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's like, you know, being kind of like the first guy that walked through the door and now leaving 40 years later is not going to be easy.
Mike plans to spend time volunteering in his retirement. He's currently a very active volunteer with the Honor Flight organization. You can see an extended interview with Mike on the CCX Create channel.